皆さん、お稽古お疲れ様です。And welcome back to Beyond the Dojo. Guys, I'm so glad to be able to be back here in front of the camera like this. Last week, I'm recording this on Tuesday, by the way, but I started having a fever around the evening of last Monday, and the next 3 days I had a very high fever. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I had really high fevers. And then on Friday, I think so it was a Thursday, the last day I think. I was still feeling really ill, but I wanted to upload a episode, so I posted, a video on this channel, Beyond the Dojo. And on Friday, I was finally starting to feel a little bit better. And then on Saturday from there, in the last episode, I briefly explained to you that I missed the very first tea ceremony of the year, the Hatsugama. I'm really happy to announce to you that I was actually able to go. So I was supposed to go on Wednesday. Yeah. So my tea master did the Hatsugama for 4 days, and I was supposed to go on the first day, the first tea ceremony actually. So I was supposed to go, but I was very ill, right? Right in the middle of the super sickness, And on Saturday though, one of the members who were supposed to participate in the morning tea ceremony, unfortunately, it seems she got caught in a traffic accident or something, and she broke her spine, which is really terrifying. But anyways, one person couldn't come anymore, so my sensei was like, "Would you like to come on the evening one day before the day I was going to participate?" I was like, well, I'm still feeling a little bit dizzy, but I'm like, okay, I'll go. Yeah, and I was able to participate in a tea ceremony. And currently, so it's been a week and a day after I first started to feel a little bit sick. I'm totally fine now, 100% okay. I was able to hold my online lessons this weekend, my Saturday class, my Sunday Hogan Ha Wakizashi and Tando class, also my Monday class with no problem at all. So yes, I'm super healthy now, and I'm really appreciate all your messages and comments. And I'm very sorry that I made a lot of people worry, but I think it's a very quick recovery. Usually pneumonia takes a lot longer. Some people do get hospitalized and stuff like that too, but I've completely recovered. Sometimes I have a little bit of coughing, but that's like it. That's it. So everything else is totally fine. So I'm back in the game, guys. Thank you so much. All right. So today, I want to talk with you guys about just a little bit about something that my wife and I often talk about too. And it's about the students, a type of students who develop, or I should say, advance quicker in the art that they're training in, and people who take more time, from our point of view. And if you have any opinions, it'd be great if you could let me know what you think. What kind of people get better quicker, yeah, and what kind of people take more time to get better. And my wife, she's a kimono instructor and dresser, and she has been seeing other students as one of the students, and now currently she sees students as an instructor too, right? And she had her opinions about, okay, if that student says these kind of things as a habit, then it could be one of the reasons why they don't get better that quickly or develop, slowly, I should say, in the other, if you flip it over. But yeah, I like to share a couple of my opinions with you guys. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is I think it's really important that when you are a student and when you want to learn something, I think it's really important that you are active and motivated, and you try to go and search for the information yourself and not be like a taker and just be there and expect your instructors or the people around you to help you out and teach you. Now, what I mean is, for example, the students who get better and advance quicker, like for example, in Asayama Ichiden-ryu and Budo, for example, are students who, like our Ryu style, we have plenty of videos on our channel as Seki Sensei, and Seki Sensei has explained many times before in past videos about our basic exercises and things like that, and I always send these videos to the newer students and for them to watch and for them to study in advance and such. But there's always people who are, for example, like, I don't know what we're doing right now. I have no clue what we're doing, so I need more information. Please explain more to me. I need someone to support me with this, help me out with this, and all that kind of stuff. And what happens is like, well, that what you just asked about is already written on this post, or what you just asked about is already in this video, yeah. And then they would start saying, well, I don't know where that video is. Well, you can go and look for it, don't you think? Yeah. Something like that. There are some people who just expect that everything will just be brought in front of them. They could just lay on their bed and everything will be served to them, kind of thing. Yeah, that is definitely not the right attitude to train in Japanese traditional culture, or I think in anything. So I think that's the first thing. Especially even if it's not that bad. What I just explained to you right now is like an extreme example, right? Even if it's not that bad, for example, asking during class what happened before in our online lessons, like asking some questions to Seki Sensei, that's something that you could basically look up yourself and you'd be able to know. Like, which foot should you have forward when you do this movement? Well, you can go back and watch, like in our online lessons, all of the past lessons are free to watch. You can go back and watch the 3-year-old, the lessons 3 years ago, and still be able to rewatch everything. So there has to be a video where you can check which foot was forward when you do this movement, kind of thing. Yeah, so that's not something you should take everyone's time. If you take 5 minutes from our online lessons, we only have 60 minutes per class, right? So that's a huge loss for the whole community. And yeah, I think that's number one. Yeah, asking someone else to do something for you, which is something that you can do easily, are definitely students who don't develop that quickly, who takes time to get better. And the senseis, of course, instructors will notice that, and they won't provide to that student that much compared to the other students anymore because of their attitude. So I think that's number one. Number two, in terms of Budo, maybe not just Budo, but I feel that people or students who don't get better in their art very quickly, number two, are people who start moving when their senses are still talking. Now, I find it very, very disrespectful when you asked, for example, your sensei, please check my technique, my kata, and he's explaining something to you, and you've already turned your back toward the camera, for example, if it's an online lesson, and you're starting to move around. Well, even in the in-person training, it's the same thing too. You're like, okay, your sensei came and your sensei is explaining something to you and you're already started moving and you're starting to do whatever he started explaining to you. There might be more to what he explained. You just heard the first part of it and you started doing it already. There might be, a second important point, third important point, what he's explaining, right? So I really think, and you really focus and watch your sensei move. If he's actually demonstrating it for you at that moment, I think it's really important that you try to almost record his movements in your brain, burn it onto your brain almost. I think that is really important. I feel like students who think that all the techniques that you learn from your senses, regardless of what it is, whether it's Budo or music or things like that, a lot of students who think that everything can be understood just with your head, with words and things like that, tend to misunderstand this. There are, as we discussed, 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, on Beyond the Dojo, we talked about this, but everything cannot be explained with words, right? More than half of what you have to learn, you have to watch and realize yourself. Yeah, it's something that you can't explain with words, which means it's a very, very precious opportunity having your sensei explain to you what you are doing wrong and what you should do correctly. So you should really stop, pause, focus everything on watching, listening, digesting it, bringing it in, and then when your sensei stops talking, then you should start moving from there. Okay, so I think the wrong image of, as long as you're listening to what your sensei is saying, you should be able to do it. It probably creates these problems. But no, you have to almost try to be your sensei, almost try to be a copy of your sensei, and then finally, from there, once you understand whatever art you're doing is about, you'll be able to add your own creativity to it. But that is like decades and decades later in the future, right? So in the beginning, you should really, really listen and focus, watch, listen to what your sensei is saying or doing. That's the second thing I realized. Students who don't do that, yeah, they often tend to think that they are doing something correctly, even though they aren't. Or sometimes they can't accept what their senseis are explaining to them, and they don't try to fix it right away. Kind of thing happens. Students who try to move around when their senseis are still explaining to them. And number three, This is a very, very difficult point, and I have talked about this before this channel turned into Beyond the Dojo, but when I was still doing the podcast together with my wife, Harumi, we did talk a little bit about this, but I really feel that during training and when your sensei is explaining something to you, you really shouldn't say any excuses. Okay? And this is very, very difficult, and I totally understand because I too am still a student of many, many forms of art, and I am sort of like an instructor. I really can't say with confidence that I'm an instructor yet because I really haven't reached a certain level in Asayama Ichiden-ryu yet. But being a student, also be, in training instructor, I really feel that you shouldn't say any excuses when your sensei explains something to you. And I totally understand that you want to say something. Let's say, oh, well, I actually have injured this part of my body, or, it's because my room is like this. If it's an online lesson, let's say it's because my room is this size, or, oh, I accidentally just slipped right now, and things like that. You'd want to say it when you accidentally made a mistake that you usually wouldn't. When you ask for a check, for example, you want your sensei to watch your kata, you did something, oh my gosh, I was wearing socks and not my tabi, that's probably the reason why I couldn't do it properly. I totally understand that you would want to say that. You would want to explain why you couldn't do it the way you wanted to do it. Yeah, but you shouldn't say anything. Yeah, this is a difficult point. When we talked about, my wife and I, when we talked about in the previous podcast on this channel about tea ceremony and what tea ceremony has taught us. And one of the most important lessons that my tea master has taught me is to shut up. Okay, don't say anything. Yeah. As being an instructor, I recently totally, understand how the instructor side feels. The moment the instructor side, they take time to explain something to their students, this, and that, and a lot of energy and time. And the moment your student says, oh, it's because my something hurts, or, oh, it's because I just slipped, it just happened. The moment you hear that, you're like, okay, well, if you're going to be like that, I'm not going to teach you anymore. Yeah, I really, really feel that too nowadays, because I start teaching, in person, online lessons this fall. You're like, what should I say? You took all the time and energy to explain so much to you, and it's almost like, well, I knew all about that. You just wasted your time explaining things to me because I knew why this happened. And it feels very uncomfortable and unpleasant from the instructor's side. So I think that's really important. Even if you have something, yeah, you should stay quiet, and especially when it comes to Budo. If you for example, your feet slipped because of something, that's your fault. If this was the actual demonstration, like an enbu performance in front of lots of people, in the past, if this was a real fight, for example, you are dead. Yes, you have failed the enbu. Yes, there is no excuse after that. No one's going to be listening to your excuses. So there is no excuse in the first place. Yeah. Let's say for me, I have Raynaud's syndrome. Yeah, my fingers could get very, very cold. I can't use my fingers how I can during summer or warmer seasons. During winter, my fingers are getting really better right now, so they're not that bad anymore. But in the past, my fingers would rot, for example. My fingers would hurt. Yeah, that's my body. But that's my body, right? So what am I going to say? Am I going to go out on the battlefield in the past and say like, hi guys, I have Raynaud's syndrome. So I just want you to understand that I can't swing the katana around like you guys. So please take it easy on me, No, you only have your body, and you only have your body to control. So you have to live with it, okay? If, for example, if you're shorter, if you're taller, if your arms are longer or shorter, and it's more difficult for you to do techniques, then you need to practice, right? If some parts of your body hurt because you got caught in an accident in the past, you still have to practice. That's your body. That's your body, and we have to live with it. So there is no excuse there. I personally feel that way, especially because I do have a very severe sickness myself, and I have never ever said any excuses. If I, for example, said, oh, my fingers hurt, I always try my best never to say anything to my team master as well, because if I say so, she's not going to be teaching anything to me anymore. Let's say she taught me, okay, the angle of your hand when you hold the tea rattle or something like that is not correct, and I say, oh, it's because my fingers hurt. Then she's like, okay, and then she won't teach me anything anymore, because even if she tries to explain something to me, I will probably say again, oh, it's because my hand hurts, oh, it's because my legs hurt, or whatever, so on and so forth. And you're not listening. If you're not going to listen, I'm not going to teach you, is what the instructors would probably feel. And that's what I felt too, hearing some excuses sometimes from the students. And again, go back to the beginning. As a student, I totally understand. You don't want to make your sensei you don't want to disappoint your sensei. You don't want to think that you don't want your sensei to think that you always make these mistakes. Yeah. And sometimes the things that you usually wouldn't do, you happen to do when you ask for checks or when your sensei is watching and they come up to you and like, you're not doing this correctly. And you're like, I know. I usually don't. If I do it 100 times, I would do it 90 times correctly. And that one time I made a mistake, I was found, I was caught, and my sensei, came up to me and said it. But still, it's us that made the mistake, okay? So I think it's really important that we need to keep those words, don't let them come out of your mouth. Don't type them in the chat, okay? I totally understand, but it's you're the one who is going to be losing a lot of teachings in the future or your relationships with your sensei. So I think that's a really important thing that we all need to keep in mind, so we don't regret those actions in the future, and so you can still continue to receive as many teachings from your sensei as possible. Okay? So 3 things, as I mentioned. I totally forgot what the first one was. Do you guys remember? The first one was, well, I remember the second one. The second one was to not move around when your sensei is still speaking. Yeah. And the third one I just said, yes, don't, I remember the first one. The last one I just said was, don't say any excuses. Yes, when your sensei teaches you something, explains to you something, just say yes, okay, thank you, and just keep it in, okay? And the first one, I remember now. The first one, please do work hard yourself. Do what you can yourself. And if you come to a point where you absolutely can't figure it out yourself, then finally you can ask your senseis questions and stuff like that. But to the point where if you put in your effort and you can solve this problem, for example, you need to do that. Otherwise, that will easily be caught by your instructors, and they will notice that, oh, this student is a taker. Yeah, he or she doesn't care about taking other people's time. They don't respect other people's efforts enough, and that's going to be reflected in how you're going to be taught from your instructors. I think that's really, really important. Okay. So this will be the end of today's topic though. Yeah, please let me know what you think, if you've seen any other students, or as an instructor, as a student, if you have seen any specific situations too. I think that'd be really, really good. If you have any actual examples of where you felt that, oh, this person's probably, not benefiting from this action, that makes sense. Yeah, it'd be great if you could let me know in the comments. I think, what I share with you today would be quite a few of the actual examples that I could share with you. My personal experiences I've already shared with you guys in tea ceremony, Yeah, I think, it'd be great if you can share your opinions and thoughts in the comments. Okay guys, thank you so much. And by the way, I'm really, really happy to tell you that, the goal of the Kyoto Dojo of Asayama Ichiden-ryu this year is to achieve 100 members in the in-person training, also the online lessons. But I'm very happy to report to you guys that currently we have almost 37 members. So hopefully right now it's almost around the end of January. It'd be great if you can go up to about 40 members around the end of this month. And I don't know, maybe 50 next month, and we'll be able to celebrate 100. I'm trying to aim, until the end of summer. If we can achieve 100 members, that'd be amazing, but we'll see how it goes. I've actually just completed this new brochure kind of thing, and I'm going to be going over to, right after this, I'm actually going to be heading over to some of the facilities that I've worked with in the past, and I've asked them, would it be okay if you can have your brochure at your shop or facility or things like that? And I'll be heading over to the men's kimono shop that I work with, Kato Shoten-san, and one more men's kimono shop called Eitaroya-san. If I go there and once I put down the brochures, I'll probably take a picture and I'll introduce the facilities with you guys. So I hope you can look forward to that too. Okay? Alright guys, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. 皆さんどうもありがとうございました。